Hello and welcome back. Stadium Review episode number 8 today, as we're going to be having a look at my favorite MLB team, the Cincinnati Reds, their home stadium of Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio. Before we get into it, just a reminder that this is an ongoing series, so we have several past videos and several future videos to come, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those. Let's get into it. Great American Ballpark opened in 2003 and sits just north of the beautiful Ohio River in downtown Cincinnati, Ohio. It seats just over 42,000 spectators. The ballpark is situated between the NFL Cincinnati Bengals Paul Brown Stadium and also the ECHL Cincinnati Cyclone Stadium. The architecture is done in a neoclassical design, which is definitely typical of the time, but the stadium also draws some elements from Crosley Field, which the Reds played in from 1912 to 1970. When visiting the ballpark, I highly recommend entering through the main gates here on the northwest side of the stadium. There's a lot of history shown here because after all, Cincinnati was home to the very first professional baseball team in 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings. And as you enter those main gates, you're immediately greeted by that 1869 Cincinnati Red Stockings ball club, as well as a giant mural of the Big Red Machine Club from the 1975 and 76 back-to-back World Series champions. The Concourse is pretty open and has a lot to offer. Most notably on the third base side is this brewery district with all these kegs against the wall, which is a pretty cool aesthetic. And on the first base side they have this bootleggers bar, which is a nod to the Prohibition era. Kinda weird that I don't even like beer, but I'm pointing out all these bars. Whatever. Also on the first base side, they have this really nice kids area, so when the kids get tired of watching the game, they can come out here and hit some wiffle balls. Alright, now let's take a look at the seating configuration as a whole. So there are about 3 decks going from foul line to foul line. However, down the right field line, there's more private seating in the middle, while the left field line doesn't have that private seating. You'll notice there by gate B, there's a gap and just a big break in the seats there, which is kind of an interesting architectural design. Out in right field, you have the Sun Deck Moon Deck, which used to be called that from the old Crosley Field Stadium. And then in left field, you have 2 decks, and the upper one is all bleachers. There's also a lot of private seating around the ballpark, as well as some new additions. One of the press boxes they took and actually turned into a private club suite, and they also tacked on this party deck out in right field. There's a lot of great views from inside the ballpark, but you can also see a lot of cool things outside the ballpark from inside, one of which being the Great American Tower with the famous tiara on top, just north of the stadium. Another great view is from the upper section, where you used to be able to look out and see the Ohio River and watch all the boats roll by during the game. However, in 2015, they added a giant scoreboard over the right field seats, which then blocks the view of the river. Used to always be a nice bonus. If you had the cheap seats, at least you could have the pretty view of the river and everything. But not anymore. Another cool view that was covered up was of this giant paddle, which is there to commemorate Tall Stacks, which is a boat festival that happens about every 4 years in Cincinnati. However, the Tall Stacks paddle was actually covered up with a different Tall Stacks element, a riverboat. So this private riverboat party deck now sits on top of the batter's eye out in center field. However, one of my favorite views for actually watching the game itself is from the right field Sun Deck Moon Deck. I really like how steep the seats are, so when you're out there, you feel like you're right on top of the field itself, and it's a pretty great value. Since it's the outfield seats, it's a lot cheaper. One of my other favorite views though, not really for watching the game, more for just checking out the ballpark as a whole, is up high by the left field line. You can go to the very top section and there's this nice overlook platform that you can look down and see the whole field and the whole stadium. It's a really pretty view up there. However, kind of no matter where you sit in the stadium, you really can't go wrong, as you'll be treated with some great views all around. As being home to the oldest professional baseball franchise, the Reds have their fair share of traditions. Most notably are the toothbrush light fixtures, which are kind of a throwback to the old school light fixtures when they first introduced floodlights to baseball. Another one though is Rozzy fireworks, because you know what? No pyro, no party. Out in right center field, they have these power stacks, which also resemble those boat steam stacks like we talked about earlier. They always send fireworks out of the power stacks after every Reds home run and win. Also, after every strikeout, fire comes out of the power stacks. However, during one game, one of the baseball bats around the stack actually caught on fire and they had to call the fire department. It was quite interesting, but that hasn't happened since. Out in the left field bleachers, they keep track of Reds pitchers' strikeouts, and once they hit 11, everyone in the stadium gets free pizzas at La Rosa's, which is a Cincinnati staple pizza chain. Back to the good side of fire now. So every home Friday night game is a fireworks Friday, and they launch them from a boat out in the river, and it is definitely the best fireworks display I've ever seen. Another fun tradition is this Redzilla cart that they'll drive around the warning track, which shoots balls all the way up to the upper sections. It has so much power and is pretty impressive. This guy looks so sad he didn't get a ball. No review is complete without food, so I had to go grab a Queen City sausage Big Red Smoky, which I highly recommend. So one major staple at Great American Ballpark is Skyline Chili. Skyline is rooted in the Cincinnati community. Personally, I do not like Skyline, but don't let that stop you from trying it yourself. You should probably try it if you're there. I unfortunately think that the Reds have one of the weaker fan atmospheres in the MLB. However, the game that I did most of this filming at didn't help.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Wow. A+.
For the ground screw?
Yeah. Oh, it's the ground screw.
At least we had something good to cheer for, but the rain came in and started right after the fireworks show ended. Lucky timing. And I owe a big thank you to my friend Alex who came along to this game that I did a lot of the filming at. Even though the Reds got pounded, we still had a great time. So in saying that the Reds have a weak atmosphere, I am a massive Reds fan and I've been a Reds fan my entire life. And after going to several other MLB stadiums, it seems that other crowds have a lot more energy and enthusiasm for their ball club, which we just don't really see in Cincinnati as much. However, the team's gotten a lot better the past few years and they're heading the right direction. So I think we're going to see that atmosphere really pick up at Great American soon, and I'm very hopeful for the Reds' future. So to close out with souvenir time, I always get a ball from any baseball stadium that I go to, and here's a ball that I picked up in 2019 during the Reds' 150th anniversary season. I love the logo they created for this and how it pays homage to one of the old stadiums the Reds used to play in. Another cool thing that I wanted to show is this pin that I got in 2003 when they closed Riverfront Stadium and opened Great American Ballpark. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is a really fun video for me to make since I've been going to this ballpark basically ever since it's been open. So I had a lot of years of photos and videos to go through and whatnot for this. This is an ongoing series, so be sure to check out previous episodes and subscribe so you can see future episodes. Speaking of which, the next episode we have, I won't say exactly where, but it's another Midwest MLB stadium and it was a super cool experience and I'm really looking forward to sharing that. See you then. Bye.